Hello there. The latest is that Reform UK is still riding high in the polls, but are cracks beginning to appear in the edifice? Also, I've seen much less support amongst the more politically active for Reform UK on social media than in the past. As a test, can people put in the chat who they are more likely to support right now in the poll I've put there, whether it be the Reform UK, Advance UK, or Restore Britain or UKIP? If you like any of the others, please also mention that in the chat. And I've only put four because that's all I can do is put four in there. So, anyway, that would give us a better indication of where the support really does lie. Now, the latest blow to reform has been Raoul Braverman, that's former Home Secretary Suella Braverman's husband, leaving Reform UK with immediate effect. And although he hasn't said that much other about it, there is speculation he's fed up with ex-Tory entryism into the party, especially of the more politically pink variety, and the fact that someone senior within Reform UK has been briefing against his wife. It seems that the sentiment from this slagging off was that both Suella and her former colleague Liz Truss are not welcome in Reform UK due to being divisive and having all that baggage, etc. And although Nigel Farage himself is also riding high compared to other political leaders, recent polling suggests that honesty is a big issue between the electorate and him, or more accurately, a lack of honesty. What do you reckon, Richard?
Yes, looking at reform, we have a political party that is doing well in the polls, even though it's actually collapsing, and I'll get onto that in a moment. And you have to remember, if the polls are asking who somebody would vote for when the choices are given as Labour, Tories, Lib Dems, or Reform, I mean, anyone who is slightly disgruntled with this country is going to put down Reform. I would put down Reform. But here's the thing. What does Reform actually stand for anymore? It's meant to be about change and reform, but it still doesn't identify that. I can't see, there's no full manifesto, no policy structure or anything, and no real direction, to be honest with you. It seems to be going more left-wing by the day. It's more of a it's more like a sort of a movement than a political party. And even though the strange thing is, even though Ben Habib's Advance UK is not yet a political party without policy, it still feels like more of a political party than Reform does. Very strange. I mean, it's, the New Statesman, it sort of hit the nail on the head, where it said that it's just filled with disgruntled ex-Tories, and people with some very big egos. But there's no sort of shared, cohesive plan. The only thing that's shared is resentment towards the system. Yet there is no alternatives put forward. I mean, you look at this whole thing with, as you said, with Raoul Braverman. Raoul, I can never pronounce his name, Braverman. I mean, they made a lot of noise, Reform have, about the cover-up, and correctly so. But I mean, they didn't have to go shooting straight off at Suella Braverman, knowing that her husband's within the party and a high-profile figure. I mean, that's technically a sort of bit of self-harm, and it shows no internal discipline or control within the party. And that, this is not the first time. I mean, don't forget Zia Youssef called the burqa banning thing dumb and said, "Oh, it's not party policy," and then he buggered off and quit for 48 hours, and then came back, and it just. Yeah. And then, of course, you've got what happened with Rupert Lowe. I mean, that was disgusting. He called the police on him. No charges found. I mean, that stunk. Yeah. That did, that whole thing. I mean, it's not discipline within the party. It is completely dysfunctional at the end of the day. And we need to see that right now, Reform is looking very lacking and wanting. And, the thing is, as the party is actually imploding, here's the thing. People are now the Tories themselves are moving more to the right. And they're looking far more attractive to a lot of people all of a sudden. So I know that in the polls right now, okay, don't forget, polling can change very, very quickly. Don't forget, I mean, Keir Starmer was riding high in the polls for a long time. Now look at him. And that's in less than a year. And we've got another, 4 years left until the next general election, Jeff? So,
Mm.
you've got Robert Jenrick talking about migration a lot harder than Farage is. Farage openly admits that he's not as right wing now as the rest of the country, and Jenrick and the Tories. You've got Badenoch talking on gender and Braverman on culture. I mean, hypothetically, if you had Robert Jenrick and Braverman and Kemi Badenoch all going across to, say, Advance UK, oh my goodness, that would be a very
Yeah.
interesting swap over. Because right now, it just seems that you've got Zia Youssef and Nigel Farage, and you're just waiting for them to fall out with the other three Reform MPs. How long is it going to take? There's form here, and yeah, that's all I got to say really on the matter. Is that you do have a party that for some time has been collapsing. I mean, it's still riding high in the polls, but that means nothing right now. It really doesn't. It means that it's got the popular support for now. But when things get closer to crunch time and policy matters, and when the policies are shown to be more left wing than right wing, or when the policies are shown to not want to deal with immigration, like properly deal with it, and mass deportations, that's when things will start falling apart very, very quickly.
Mm.
It's a slow motion
Yeah.
car crash, the whole thing.
I would also point out that all these parties, I mean, when you think about UKIP, when you think about the Brexit Party and Reform UK, it was the activists that got it going. The activists at sort of on social media at ground level, pushing it out, until it became sort of in the general awareness of the population. And then they began to gel around this whole idea. If the
Yeah.
activism in the background falls away, then that will filter through after time to the general public, because there'll be no one pushing it out so much anymore. So, you always have to have your activists in the background to make any party work. And when they fall back, as the Tories found out in the last election, when that happens, it all just collapses around their ears. There's no one out there talking to people, delivering leaflets, getting on social media, supporting the policies. And if there are no policies to support, then you can imagine that makes it for a very funny sort of conversation. Why should I vote for Reform UK? Nigel Farage. What policies? Nigel Farage. You get the idea.
Yeah,
That
totally.
won't last very long.
No, it's a very good point there, Jeff. The worst part about this is that reform, it's such a shame because reform, so many people want reform to succeed. And if reform was to get its act together, if Zia Youssef was no longer there, if Farage would sort of move more to the background, and hypothetically, if Rupert Lowe went back in, and if Ben Habib went back in, and Suella Braverman went back in, and one or two other decent Tories, not the useless ones that it seems to be attracting, the sort of liberal lefty types that that it's pulling across, then all of a sudden reform is one of the it would probably be one of the finest political entities this country's ever known. It really would. It's got it and the worst thing is that the membership, most of the membership are absolutely fantastic. It's got such a strong background there, but it's the leadership that could crack the whole thing. We've seen it. Look at Labour support. I mean, it's completely decimated.
I mean, you look at Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, there is no way after their recent tweets and conversations that they would ever go back into Reform UK with Nigel Farage at the helm.
Yeah.
They just won't do it. It's just I cannot see, unless they were all to have some gushing meeting in public about how wonderful and please forgive each other and all the rest of it. I don't see that happening. How can Rupert Lowe forgive what happened? Especially, and that was with Zia Youssef. They both got to go, haven't they? For Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe to come back. I just can't see it happening. Yeah.
As I said, I think they were polling at 16% around the time of the general election. I said that yesterday, I believe. And this is before Farage came back, which is no mean feat, I can tell you.
No, I agree. Yeah,
and that's without Farage. So I can tell you now, right now, it's. I mean, the problem is, I keep saying it. If there was an election tomorrow, I'd vote Reform. I wouldn't have a choice. First of all, Advance UK would not be able to field candidates and have enough of a public presence to be able to pass the test right now, which is a great shame. Granted, there seems to be no indication there will be an election tomorrow. I get that. But we need to just... We've got a few more years before we start saying which party to fully vote for. As I said, I support Advance UK because of the man behind it and the principles involved in it. And that's my position. It's a very fluid and disjointed situation that the right is in at the moment. There's no cohesiveness and there's nobody pulling it all together. And that's what it needs. Whoever that is needs to pull the right together. I've been looking at the polls, and the poll on the here, Jeff, by the way, 32% are saying Reform UK. And 26 are saying Advance UK, which does surprise me. That's quite high considering Reform has been such a large political entity for so long. Restore Britain is on 20 with Rupert Lowe. It's currently on 30% now, and UKIP on 13%. So if you combine Advance UK and Restore, they're almost double that of Reform in terms of the voters in this poll at the moment. And just those two alone. And I got to say, last night I did watch Nick Tenconi a bit. Well, not all of it, part of Nick Tenconi's interview with Liam Tufts, and you were right, Jeff. Brilliant interview.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I got a lot of sympathy for that man as well. This is what I mean. The whole right needs to unify, but as a political entity in its own right, I think Reform are in real trouble if they don't sort out whatever's going on at the top, because there's complete lack of discipline at the top.
Yeah. I mean, as John Johnson says here, Reform have no credible candidates to give anyone confidence. Charlie Mullins simply won't cut the mustard with potential voters. I mean, I've got to say, an arch Ramona who was there every day, wasn't he, on the news? Talking about this. And suddenly he's gone across to Reform. What is going on?
Yes.
And when Ben Habib found out about this tweet from Raoul Braverman, he actually replied, about him leaving with immediate effect. He said, I'm not surprised anyone with in fact, I can put that up here. I'm not surprised anyone with a coherent political philosophy which puts the country at its centre is bound to fall out with the bad joke that is Reform UK. Now, that's his opinion, and many people will probably resonate with that, given the current circumstances. You get this feeling that something is always, when Nigel's involved, there's always some rocky position to be in, isn't there? It's never absolutely solid. Never is. That's just a feeling I've sort of grown up with, I suppose. I don't know.
Well, you've been there and you yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. But the other side of it, of course, is that Suella herself, she's part of this whole Afghan thing, isn't she? Because she was the Home Secretary at the time when all that was going on. I mean, don't forget that particular list was leaked sometime in 2022, but it didn't surface as a story until August 2023. Okay, so it had been wafting around. And then suddenly there's an injunction placed on it at that time by Ben Wallace. And just as he put that out, a few days later, he left his job and went and resigned and went off to do other things. And that was Grant Shapps who followed through on that particular one with a full super injunction. But I mean, she was there. Yeah.
But looking at Reform, sorry, I've just put something there. If you can share that, Jeff. I've included something. I'll remove it once it's gone up. Oh, you can't really see it. I'll have to read it out myself, I think.
Just go for it. Who's it from?
It's from Rupert Lowe from yesterday, from today, and it says here, 60 R gang survivors and whistleblowers made a huge effort to come into Parliament yesterday. It really mattered to them, and if I can get it all, I think. Really mattered to them. No Lib Dem MPs bothered to show, nor did Reform, SNP or Greens. They were all invited multiple times. None made the effort. Find the time. And, I find that quite telling that
Yes.
that nobody from Reform turned up at this thing at Parliament and met any of the survivors, the victims, and this doesn't look good for Reform. Let's
No.
face it. This is a
No.
bad bloody look.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
But,
I get it was Rupert Lowe putting it together. Oh, okay. Can't they put their bloody egos aside and come together for the sake of this country? It's sickening. And it makes you think that Rupert Lowe is right. Maybe Nigel Farage is not the sort of person who should be leading this country for anything. If they can't put aside egos for... pathetic.
yeah, but it comes down to egos who actually are doing it more for themselves and not for the country. And that, if we had someone with a big ego who was actually doing someone with a big ego probably wouldn't be ever doing it for the country. In fact, the person you want in charge of the country is the person who says they don't want the job at all, and you have to drag them to the position, drag them by horse and cart into number 10 and force them to do the job. That's probably the most trustworthy person you'd ever find, and there aren't many of them around.
Yeah. Like you, Jeff.
Yeah.
There we go. We're going to drag.
No, I'm not going to be it.
Yeah, perfect candidate. Perfect. Exactly.
I want the job. I'm obsessed with it.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes, it's I just sort of look at all of this and wonder what is going on. I mean, but the other way of looking at this is this just all of us putting a microscope on the Westminster obsessed politics, and we're looking through the microscope, picking all this apart, and everyone else out there is just going, and what, who, how, I don't care, or are more people, beginning to catch on with this? I just don't know, because we do spend so much of our time looking at the news. Or is a real malaise beginning to settle into Reform UK? And as we said earlier, what is going to happen when people start asking real hard policy questions of Reform UK? Will they come up with them? Or are they going to play this centrist game that the Lib Dems love to play? I'll tell you something and I'll tell you something you want to hear, and I'm going to tell you something different you want to hear.
Yeah.
And then hope that everybody votes for them because they're list. Do you remember during the last general election when those who wished a certain demographic to vote for them in split areas, they'd go to one portion and they'd give them leaflets, wouldn't they? They handed out leaflets. They went to the certain demographic area and handed out a completely different leaflet with a completely different story on it,
Probably
usually about supporting Gaza.
Yeah, probably in a completely different language as well, let's face it.
Yeah. So, and if Reform are going to play that sort of game, then they're going to come unstuck pretty quick, or just not cut the mustard when it comes to greater support.
Well, that's
Just a
the
view
other
anyway.
side of it. Yes, maybe they've maxed out on support and that's it. Now,
Yeah.
they've done very well. I mean, as I said yesterday, I believe membership has dropped quite a few points recently. Quite a few members have left. Or should I say subscribers? I don't know what the full situation is. I'm just going by what other people have said on the structure of the party, whether it is actually a political party as such. I don't know.
Yeah, says Lady Sophie of Hoogan Manor says, and Mighty Mouth Lee changing like wind hopping from party to party. Yeah, has he gone from Labour to the Tories to Reform UK in one session? Which, I mean, you listen to him and you can understand he's pretty down to earth and all the rest of it. But if Reform started to, where would he go next? Just a question.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate here. Actually, come on. One of the things I'll say then is maybe Nigel Farage is playing this game right now, but when he gets into power, he's going to be a very different man, and he'll give us all the things that the British people want, even though he's saying that he's not as hard on immigration as most of the British public is at the moment. So, or deportation, I should say. So, yeah. But
Yeah.
maybe he's lying, and maybe at the end of the day, he's just telling a few few porkies there just to be able to get into power. And then
Right.
when he's there, he will then
Breaking
unleash, he
news.
will sort
Yeah.
everything out. Go on, Jeff, go on.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
In the lead, Restore Britain, 31%. Reform UK second in 30%, Advance UK 27%, and UKIP on 13%. Now, so what we're saying is if Advance UK and Restore Britain got together, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
that's
that's
an
just. I mean, this is
interesting.
not a national poll. This is for people. Obviously, it's our little poll here, and
Yeah,
this is what we are finding. And it says here. Sorry, thank you to Granda for your super chat. It says an investigation like the one for Hope Not Hate needs to be done on the certain demographic businessmen who asked for a meeting with Nigel when he joined Reform. Oh, I don't know too much about that one, Jeff. Do you?
not really. The I do know that there was a meeting between lots of those businessmen and or lots, but a few, and Nigel when he joined Reform because what it was, he had a dinner. Now that's right, he had a big dinner, didn't he? At 20,000 a go or 10,000 on a bottom table or something.
What?
I think those are the figures, if I remember rightly. And
What
you might have to Google that for me, Richard.
I wouldn't know where to start on that. So, wow.
No, he advertised a big dinner to take
Right.
place in a big London hotel or club or something, and people who turned up, it was basically 20. I think it was 20,000. Maybe wrong there, but that was the idea, and he had lots of people turning up from Now I don't know quite how that turned out.
Oh, hang on.
Only last year.
Here we go. Now, this was in January. It says two Tory donors pay £25,000. This is in The Guardian. £25,000 to attend Reform fundraising dinner. And
But there were others. Yeah, I can't remember the exact
here
details now.
are Mohammed Messi left and Basim Hadar.
Right.
I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Have between them given more than 1 million to the Conservatives. And I'm assuming that this article here is saying that these two men attended this dinner. Yes, they paid £25,000 each to attend a Reform fundraiser dinner. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Make of that what you will.
Yeah.
And Idofla, thanks very much. Jeff and Richard, True Brits and the fight against the woke. Yeah, that's what we've got to do is win the fight against the woke. Oh, by the way, just a quick breaking bit of news, which I read about earlier, which I won't be able to talk too much about until I've had a look at the ruling. But the High Court has ruled against, I think it's Northumbria Police, for them and their chief constable engaging in pride marches. Because the way it was framed was they were taking one side, that's what the court said, one side in a very controversial two-sided argument, between the one side that says, oh, that's okay, and the other side that says, no, it's male or female. You get the idea. That's where the split was. And the police were all going along with pride. Now, this has repercussions for every police force in the UK. They can now only police an event. That's what I think will happen. They'll end up only being able to police an event, not wear all sorts of badges and all that in support of one side or the other. It's quite a big ruling, actually. It's only just come out this morning, 10:30, I think it came out. But and it hasn't even broken the mainstream media yet, I don't think. But that would be quite big.
Yeah. I went to Abergavenny about, was it 2 years ago with my dear wife, and we were walking around, and she had this she had this lovely dress and it was white, and it had red, green, yellow, blue on it, and it was just a multicolored dress. Now we just happened. It just happened to be Abergavenny Pride when we went there, and it seemed. And so she said, "I said, I think I'm wearing the wrong dress. I'm getting lots of ladies looking at me. You know." I thought, yeah. That's it.
Oh dear.
But they were there. The police were giving out flags with these rainbow flags to children. They were giving these little flags out to kids. Oh, look, here's
Yeah.
your pride flag. I thought, no. You said this is not, and that's not homophobic to say that. There are just certain things on that flag that I find abhorrent. Certain new features on that flag, and I think most gay people that I speak to and by people that I know find those things abhorrent as well. And I won't identify what those things are. It's just a certain additions to it. And yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. I just remember something that I was going to include at one stage. I'll just say it now. We ought to have a Rwanda plan, especially for all MPs and lords. What we need to do is deport them all to Rwanda instead of having, and that way I think we'd be better off, don't you? Really, get rid of
Yeah.
and the civil service and half the lawyers and the courts. We could start again then, couldn't we? There you go.
Oh, if you've had a knighthood, as far
That's
as
if
I'm
Rwanda
concerned,
would
yes.
want them.
Yeah, yeah. If you've had a knighthood, I mean, someone said I had a knighthood, I think, oh, what have you done? That's what I always think.
Yeah,
Uh,
as Jew Princess says, they're all corrupt. Yeah, well, I look around at what's going on, and you just do, don't you? You sort of look at it and you think, what is going on? It's not like any. How many good decisions has Parliament come up with, really, as a whole? You know, in everything they've touched. You know, we're going to make transport in Britain fantastic again. HS2 potholes. You get the idea. We are going to defend the nation. Defense. The
yeah.
police force. You know.
But where are reforms policies on all these things? That's what I want to know. I mean, it's just rhetoric. I mean, you can't build a party on rhetoric? I've always said if you need to start putting policy proposals right at the start, so people know what they're getting. You know, you can change your mind on a few things. You know, you have to be fluid with the ever evolving landscape of politics and geopolitics, but at the end of the day, you need to have some kind of idea of where things are heading. And I just don't understand. What is reform? It's got this great name, reform. Great, we're going to reform. Reform what? What is going to be reformed? How is it going to be reformed? To what extent is it going to be reformed? I got to go back to that one. That how will it be reformed is a very important one as well. How does reform expect to be able to get around the civil serpents and through past Whitehall? Has it got a plan for this? We need to know these things. At least Ben Habib is talking about such things, and that's where reform are just floundering. Such a shame, because I want an alternative. We all do, and there's so many brilliant people other than at the top in reform. That's the worst thing about it. There's some of the finest people I know are all supporting reform.
Yeah. Thank you, Doppler, for your contribution. Deport the woke and the fundamentalists. Absolutely. They can both go. Because the woke and the fundamentalists have actually joined together in reality in the hope they can get rid of the rest of us. And then there's going to be a competition between the two of them. And I don't think the woke stand much of a chance, do you?
No, is the short answer to that. Yes, Restore Britain is ahead 31% on our little poll on here, and
it's actually a bit of a race between Reform UK and Restore. They're both sort of you know.
But if you were to combine, as I said, Advanced, Restore, and UKIP, you know what would we be looking at? 58, 59, 60, 70% are actually opposed on here to reform. So that's interesting. And it's sad because if we were to go back, say, a few months ago, before Zia Youssef came along, or a year ago now, however long it's been, I think you'd see a very different set of results there, to be honest with you. I think more people would be, in fact, I said the majority would be 70% for reform. That just goes to show. I mean, if that's, we're talking to like-minded people here. So if like-minded people on this channel are having second thoughts about reform.
Yeah, as someone's pointed out here, it's Gavin Featherstone, split and be damned. Amalgamate equals big win. Restore is not a political party. And Rupert has stressed that. Yes, he could well go back to the Tories or try to get himself back into the Tories, which is, some people have speculated on that. Restore is not that's why I use the word support. I should have made that clearer. In the poll, I said, who do you support, not vote for? Because at the moment, even Advance UK isn't actually a party yet.
Yes.
It's still only a movement until he gets his 30,000 members.
But it gives an indication.
And then,
it gives an indication.
It's an indicator of where your core sort of support lies. So, yeah.
But you raise a good point
right at the beginning. Sorry, I did see one person right at the beginning saying they support the Green Party.
Well, all are welcome on the Jeff Taylor channel.
We're converting people, Richard. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. No.
Oh, and here's thank you very much, Andrew. A very pleasant good afternoon, gentlemen. Can someone please explain to me how Restore plan to implement change when they have no voice at the ballot box? Restore is a waste of time. What they're hoping is to do what UKIP did when UKIP didn't have anyone at all. They actually pressured the government into having a referendum and managed to actually filch 2 MPs at the same time, but only because they were a party. What I think Restore is trying to do is to push the Tories. That's what it's all about, pushing the Tories in the right direction, I think, or maybe reform if they're turning Tory. I don't know.
It's pushing the right. That's what it's doing. It's trying to push the right, trying to create a cohesive framework. In a way, I suppose it's sort of like the pledge without making a pledge. It's saying, look, these are the values that we hold. These are the values that need to be pushed. Now, all the political parties can jolly well jump on board with this. And I agree with Rupert Lowe on that. Granted, it would have been nice if it could have been amalgamated with the Unite the Kingdom movement. That would have been far more effective, I believe. But he had his reasons. And maybe he's specifically sort of pushing towards influencing the Tory and the political parties themselves. I don't know. But the one thing that's been mooted about for a while now is that Rupert Lowe may join the Tory party. I don't know about that. But if he was to join, considering that there's now going to be a bit of an implosion within the Tory party as well after this Afghanistan debacle, maybe there could be a complete wholesale root and branch scrubbing of the Tory party, and Rupert Lowe would go in as party leader. And then you have to ask yourself, could that be pulling together of the right? I just can't bring myself to put an X next to a Conservative Party ballot.
Not anymore.
The ballot box. Sorry, I couldn't get myself to do it. But if anything that unifies this country, because that's what we need. This poll is very, very telling, Jeff. It's saying to me that, there's more support for Advance UK and Restore than there is for Reform. I mean, Advance UK is only just behind Reform. And let's face it, Advance is a new entity, brand new. And so is Restore. UKIP is trading way behind. I think that's because we all know that there's no real political electability within that vehicle anymore. It's a spent force in terms of a brand, probably. At the same time, I love what Nick Tenconi's doing. He's a brave man. Doing some great stuff. So I will not put Nick Tenconi and the direction that the party's taken down. I just think it's more of a pressure group right now, which is a shame. But maybe UKIP, whatever it is, he says, we're taking our country back. And part of me wants a piece of that. I have to say, there's a part of me that very much wants a piece of that. The
I know what you
rhetoric is
mean. Yeah.
strong. We need strong rhetoric as well now.
Mm.
There we go.
Well, yeah, and thank you, Doppler, again. We need that voice of reason. I'm assuming you're talking about restore there, although because of the timing, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, so this is this is a very interesting sort of situation to be in, and we've always said this. We need to be continually talking about this. If the big boys want to start these things, then we've got to look at them and start asking questions and saying which one should we follow? Because at the end of the day, if we don't pick on one at the end of the day in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, it's over, isn't it really? But we do have time to still look at this, but it won't last long because we need a 2-year lead in, really, a 2-year lead in to get a with firm policies, firm
Mm.
actions, and all the rest of it to and a big push to get this through. Yeah.
The thing is, I think once that political party emerges with a full policy structure and manifesto, and the sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned, as soon as that comes
Yeah.
about, I think you'll start finding other political parties even standing down towards that. If the public support is great enough
Yeah.
for whichever party does present that policy and manifesto cohesiveness.
Yeah, I mean, um, as Kim Thomas points out, lawyers that work with Ben Habib have taken down Hope Not Hate. Nick Lowles, who has resigned after their article. Habib also made a complaint to the Charity Commission about Hope Not Hate. And it's quite funny because Hope Not Hate actually pointed out that recently, in fact, they put it out today that Reform have been saying all this anti net zero stuff, but they missed an important solar panel meeting. A couple of their councillors just missed the meeting, which they could have been at about solar power and all that sort of thing. So those are Reform councillors missed their meeting. So yeah, it's yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, someone says Rupert Lowe is the best MP in Parliament. He was one of the
oh,
things,
yeah.
one of the most powerful things you can do in Parliament is write letters to the government that forces them to respond because they have to give an answer. He was doing that almost on a daily basis, really in-depth stuff going in and embarrassing the government. I'll have to dig out some of the stuff he was
Well, the
doing.
main
Actually,
thing
it
he
was
was
very,
doing,
very good. And why MPs aren't doing the same for themselves, I just don't know. Maybe they haven't got what it takes in reality.
Hmm.
Maybe that's what it is, that most MPs do not have what it takes.
Well, the one person he was embarrassing, I believe, might have been Nigel Farage, showing him up because he was the most active member of the
Yes.
party,
Yeah.
more active than all the rest combined. And you think, wow, what a politician. And then, I mean, I might be wrong here, but, there was some speculation saying that Farage had gone around telling people that the press that Rupert Lowe had some form of dementia or something. I mean, what?
Yeah.
My goodness, if that's what a man with dementia can do, then
Bring it on.
yeah, absolutely. I need a bit more. I need a bit more dementia in that case. I won't make light of the subject of dementia
No,
actually,
no,
because
but
I've seen
yeah,
what
I
it
get
does.
where you're
But
coming from. Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was just very
Yeah.
distasteful that such a
Yeah.
thing, if it
Wayne,
took place.
yeah, and thank you, Wayne. Jeff, I trust you have a stage allocation on the 13th. If you've seen the list of speakers, you'll understand why I haven't got a stage allocation for the
Oh yeah,
13th.
yeah. I have though.
And Richard agrees.
No, no. Good grief! Can you imagine
Yeah.
that? The world listening to me. Oh dear. So there was another one from my Doppler earlier. Where was that gone?
All right. Okay.
Let's
Have
see
a
which
look.
my Doppler.
Oh, this would be good. Yes. Yes. Hi, Doppler. Should we consider a party driven by AI?
Well, actually, it won't be a party. It'll just be the AI. And
It will
I'm
just be
afraid to say
government.
that's
It will be
coming
just
sooner
government.
than you think.
AI government. That's it.
Yes,
It will
will.
run
That's
it.
exactly where we'll be heading. A lot sooner than you think. Yeah.
Actually, I should have put that in the poll, shouldn't I? AI at the top, and everyone would have
Yeah.
voted for it.
Mm.
As far as I can see, now after I mean, it's quite healthy let of votes there. That's 1,240 votes, and Restore Britain is still ahead of Reform UK, just.
Yeah.
So, and
Well,
Advance UK is right behind.
I'm going to ask a
Yeah.
question here, and it's just just off the top of my head, not saying I agree or disagree with it, but if there was a complete overhaul of the Tory party, and I want the answer in the comments section, please, ladies and gentlemen, and you had Ben Habib going with the Tories, you had Tommy supporting the Tories, I know, okay, you had Nick Tenconi joining the Tories, and you had Rupert Lowe joining the Tories, possibly leading, or Ben Habib, with a complete stripping out of the wokesters. Would you vote Conservative at the next election? Yes or no? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the comments to come through, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm just looking at,
No. Oh, here they go. Here we go. Oh, quite mixed, actually.
oh, right.
But I'd say they're edging on towards the no, which is very, very telling. That shows just exactly how damaged that brand is and how little the amount of trust there is in the
Yeah.
Conservatives. So just the sheer fact that after mentioning all those popular names, there's not a flood of yeses suggests how badly damaged, that the
Well,
Conservative brand is.
this will give you an indication of how damaged. Muttley, thank you very much, says, "Nope, they are finished. Don't go there."
Yeah, I'd go along with that, Muttley. Yeah, that's exactly right. But that's the point here, is that, I mean, if Rupert Lowe, I doubt he's watching this, but he may be. I know some senior politicians certainly do watch this channel. But if they were to watch this now, and Rupert, if you were considering going across to the Conservative Party, I think you might want to reconsider that option. Yeah. I mean, good
Yes.
grief. Look what the Conservatives did. We see this what happened in Afghanistan, but just think about what happened during the pandemic. That was utterly ludicrous. You know, the rules and the regulations that were placed upon us by that political party. And, granted, there's some wonderful people. I spoke, I corresponded with Andrew Bridgen again today. Just one of the finest politicians this country's ever brought about. We talk about Tommy being a hero, but don't forget Andrew Bridgen in the same breath. What that man has stood up for. Good grief. And why aren't we mentioning Andrew Bridgen a lot more as well? Because we talk about a man of integrity. He's proved himself. He's put his neck on the line, literally.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I'm just looking through some of these comments. Someone has said, yes, if Ben and Rupert were head of the party. The trouble is that a lot of people think that the Tories are could change quickly. You've got to remember that who selects their MPs. They have local constituency parties who, they sit down and select their MPs. And those are the people who've been selecting all the lefties to go into the into these positions. So you'd have to change the membership as well. It'd have to be a massive change within the Tory party to make it change that way.
Yeah. I can't see it happening, Jeff, to be honest with you. I don't know how that would happen. As I said, it's a defunct brand, especially now after this thing. I mean, of course, Labour right now is going on the attack against the Conservatives, even though they've sustained and kept this whole thing going with this whole debacle with the probably continuation of denotices, would you say? Yeah.
Blue Jedi here. The majority of Conservatives are woke lefties. Yeah. Yes.
And now they're joining Reform.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that is the thing. So it just goes on, doesn't it? And Whitehall is a problem too, says Aaron Bryant. Of course, it always will be.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, look, we're going to have AI Jeff and AI Richard in charge.
What do you mean? Right,
Yeah.
that. Not glitching again.
Yes. Max Headroom springs to mind. If
Hmm.
anyone remembers Max Headroom out there, you'd have to be a
Yes,
bit old. Yeah,
I do.
like
I
me.
remember. Thoroughly enjoyed. I watched all the films, believe it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I
There were
caught up
Max.
with another great film, didn't we, recently?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Twin
Yes.
Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. It's out on whatchamacallit, on Apple
Apple.
TV. You can buy it on there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I used to love Twin Peaks as a kid. I used to
yeah.
totally thought it was the best thing ever. I didn't enjoy the new series they put out though. There was one episode of that I just
Mm,
thought was a bit distasteful.
yeah.
I mean, the thing was always pushing the boundaries, but this was didn't like it. Couldn't get along with it. There we go.
Yes. Someone says that he got to catch up with these comments. Reform won't be around in 4 years. Yeah, could well be. Depends on a lot, to be honest. Depends on a lot.
Let's hope they
Yeah.
get that. Let's hope that whatever happens, I've got no. I mean, as I said, I like Ben Habib and Advance UK, but I like UKIP, and
Yeah.
loyalty wise, it's whoever pulls the whole thing together. That's where my loyalty lies, and we'll wait and see on that one. My full loyalty, and I'm hoping it's Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Sherilyn
hey,
Fenn,
fellas.
hang on, adorned my
Yeah.
wall. Now I did hear, because I'm descended from my natural mother is a Fenn, that I may be related to old Sherilyn Fenn. There we go.
Yeah.
That might be a load of rubbish as
Um,
well. You know.
Mark Copeland Ford says, "Hi, fellas. Reform are starting to collapse from within. Don't write off Advance with Ben. The party as a whole is growing, and they have only been going 2 weeks." It's quite funny that they've set up a thing called a college, and to
Yes.
oversee the sort of direction of the party on policy and making sure they stick to task. And you can only get into that college if you go through a pretty rigorous procedure. And they've started to get more people into the college, and the
Hang
whole
on,
idea is that
Jeff, vigorous procedure. I say, that doesn't sound very comfortable. What? Yeah,
they
good
make you sit
grief.
in a comfy armchair or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not the no, I
I
won't
don't like
go
the
there.
sound of this. Sorry,
Yeah.
I couldn't resist it. Yes, this college, though,
Yeah.
you're right. But at least they're moving forward with these kind of policy plans. Did hear something that there may be a slight replication of this now with reform as well. After Advanced UK did it, so already Ben Habib may be pushing things forward and sort of putting pressure on other parties just by existing. Everything seems very fractured at the
Yeah.
moment. As I said, it's fine for all these things to little spring up you've got one coming up here, one coming up there, they're all springing up. But
Yeah.
eventually what we want them to do is all sort of merge into one, and sort of that's what we need. Yeah.
Yeah, the latest is after 49 minutes, 1,380 votes, climbing, Reform UK and Restore Britain level pegging.
Ooh.
Yeah, on 31.
Okay. Yeah.
And thank you, iDocFleur. Advance sounds like an AI party. Mm. Yes. All of them could be at the end of the day, I've got to say, as we said earlier, I think that politics will end up we'll all be voting for something that can produce what we want. And it could well be an AI answer. AI will take over, will make sure you're well fed, make sure you're happy,
Yeah.
and
There's one
everyone will
comment
go
here.
for it.
I did see Ben from Green Screen FX. Ben too weak to lead UK. I don't think so. I think the exact opposite. I think he's the most out of all of them. I'd say he's the one with the most sort of prime ministerial attributes about him. You can imagine him being prime minister. I can imagine Ben Habib being prime minister. I can't imagine Nigel Farage being prime minister. I just can't imagine it. It doesn't seem to sit well. Rupert Lowe, I can imagine him before Nigel Farage, but I think he would be. But he should have some other position, like one of the most senior positions, Home Secretary. I mean, can you imagine that? Rupert Lowe as Home Secretary. Good grief! And yeah, wow. But again, they got to deal with the civil service. That's what they got to deal with.
Yeah.
So it's all well and good having
Yeah.
the best men for the job, and then you realise that they're actually powerless and toothless when it comes to
Yeah.
implementing policy. It's like,
Yep. Now, Top Cat says Farage is a smoker and a drinker. Will he last 4 years? Well, that's a very good question, isn't it? Yeah.
well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be supporting smoking and drinking and all that. I did enough of that in my own life. What I will say, talk about, you think about cancer rates. It's just something I was thinking about the other day. And I did go through it with various AIs as well. Today we smoke and drink less than we ever have, and yet cancer rates are far higher. Why? And you can rule out. Obviously, you can factor in early detection and monitoring, etc. But there seems to be, and back in the 1950s, people and 60s, people smoked and smoked like chimneys and drank like fishes. They were still, regardless, they're still less likely to have develop cancer. And there's other pollutants and environmental factors and probably dietary factors behind all these things. So I sometimes ask myself, if I lived a 1950s lifestyle, maybe I'd be healthier. So I think that's just an excuse, though, just to go down the pub and crack, get a pack of Bensons, and yeah.
Yeah. Someone has pointed out that actually, and this is absolutely right, we already have a robot in charge. We
Yes.
don't need AI. We've already got a robot,
Yes.
haven't we?
And we're already
Yeah.
calling robots Sir in that case. Sir. Yes, Starmer. Sir Robotic, more like.
Yes. Yeah, another comment here. There are too many parties. I'm a sad git, so I go on the Electoral Commission website now and again. The number of political parties that are being formed every month or so is unbelievable. You've got your independents for that. You've got your local community for this, and they all think they're going to grow into this big thing. And you just look at it. How can you? And there's so many. There is absolutely so many out there now.
Jeff, I
fact,
worry
it won't
about
be
you.
long.
Some
Sorry?
people do. I worry about you, Jeff. So some people do train spotting. You go on electric. You've got to see which new political party. That's oh man, yes.
Yes. Oh, Hong Kong Fooey says that Nick, that's Nick Tenconi, has colossal you-know-whats.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Let's face it, the guy goes right into the face of trouble. Look, credit where credit's due. Farage has been going out on boats himself, and he has been highlighting this as well. So, he has been highlighting these issues. We can't just say that it's just people like Tommy and Nick Tenconi, but to the extent of action that that doesn't even compare. I mean, they put themselves on the front line. Farage is on the boat pointing, say, "Oh, look, they're over there," whereas Nick Tenconi's face to face, and so is Tommy. So yeah, incredibly brave men. And there are other people in this country who are, social media influencers like Charlie Veach, and one of my favorites is what's his name? Billy Moore, is it? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's Billy Moore. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. They really go to nitty gritty and just there on the streets of this country showing people what life is like. The All or Nothing with Billy Moore, I think it's called. Yeah. Fantastic. I can just sit there for hours. I sometimes binge watch Billy Moore, just one video after the other. You go through different towns and you see the actual reality of the decay of this country. And he's got such a wonderful way about him. He'll go up to people who are destitute on the streets and, just show a little love and kindness. And great man. Well done, Billy. A lot of respect for you there, mate.
Yes. Well, there's lots of here's an outsider. Well, it's just moved. Here's an outsider. Oh, come back. Where was it? Here we go. Carl Benjamin would make a good prime minister too.
Do you know what? I've seen a lovely progression with Carl Benjamin actually of late. I think
Yeah,
I've got a lot of respect for him as well. Developing, recently though, I mean, he is starting to attend church as well, and this is an
yeah,
important thing. I think this is a very, very important thing. Whoever, I mean, we hear about people, these different political party leaders, talking about our cultural, Christian
mm,
cultural heritage, etc., and they will mention it in passing. Only one at the moment is really pushing that, and that's Nick Tenconi. I have to
yeah,
give him credit for that. But anyone who comes forward, devout, devout as
yeah,
a devout Christian, you know that they've got their moral compass set correctly, regardless. I don't hear
yes,
hardly any of that from Farage. I don't know what his personal
no,
beliefs are, but I actually need to have somebody. Maybe that's just me, not the rest of you, but
yeah,
I need
just
to have somebody
just
who
us.
who
Yeah,
is a Christian to vote for. That's what I need.
yeah.
I need to know that they have that conviction inside them.
And here's another outsider from Kevin Baxter, Alex Phillips, Defence Secretary.
No, no, and I've got a lot of respect and time for Alex Phillips. I think she's utterly fantastic. Um, but after after seeing, it's like me. I can lose my temper a little bit, in case you hadn't noticed. And after her outburst against Sadiq Khan, I think no, 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 not not the right temperament. But then again, I suppose
Yeah,
she's got every right at the end of the day to express that level of anger. I mean, she's getting, probably, she has mentioned getting harassed walking down the street. I mean, she's a beautiful looking lady as she walks down the street, and she's getting harassed. There's one thing to have wolf whistling, but this is on another level.
mm,
This is,
yeah,
where women feel intimidated walking down the streets of London. You can't do it as a woman
mm.
anymore. So yeah, I suppose I take that back, Alex. Yes, Defence Secretary, absolutely. Yeah, go on, go on.
There you go. Yes. Anyway, Richard, I'm feeling very hungry. I haven't
What's
had my
new?
lunch yet.
Mhm.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show today. And please, please just press that like button. It's so important that you do, because if you do, it means that Jeff will be happy and he won't be so grumpy all the time. And yeah, no, please do like and subscribe to this video, to this channel, and comment away, comment afterwards. Let us know your thoughts. And it's been lovely spending time with you all and having this conversation. Quick one here. Jeff Taylor, Secretary of State for Defence. Yeah, I can see that working, actually. Yeah, that is something that
Yeah.
would work. Yeah. Um, Noticed nobody's mentioning me, but there we go. Anyway, look after yourselves, everyone, and please do like to subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Jeff, over to you, mate.
And I'll just finish on saying that the poll at the moment, just before we go, is Reform UK 31%, Restore Britain 31%, Advance UK 27%, UKIP 12%, after over 1,500 votes. So I shall just end the poll there and leave it as it is. And thank you very much for participating. And, well, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Goodbye.
Goodbye.